and I would get to the first question and read it and think, no, I'll get to that later. Number 2, know the answer, put it in the number 1 spot on the Scantron. Then every answer is 1 off. There's a great way to get an F on any test you ever take. And if you think about it, if you did this and you answered 3 in a row, you skipped 1, you answered 1, you skipped 2 in a row, it's easy to mess up and mark in the wrong place. Well, that nightmare never came true for me. I never did that because I was aware of it and I was careful. So here's what I did, and this is my suggestion to you on that. Since I'm already a two-handed test taker and I've got both of these things going on, whenever I got to a question and I knew the answer and I was ready to mark it, I would take my finger of my non-writing hand and point to the question number in the booklet, take my pencil, point to the question number on the Scantron, and look back and forth and match it, and then mark it. And if you do that, you'll never make a mistake. But you do have to be careful, because if you're kind of careless and quick about it, you could mess up. And I want to make sure you don't come back and hunt me down if you do that. So I've given you the warning on that. Okay, and then one last thing that I wanted to share is a quick little personal illustration to show you again how interesting tests are and how everybody's mind works differently when they take a test. When I was in college, my personal all-time record, which is going to scare you in a minute with this, is that I took a test one time that had 100 questions on it, multiple choice. So pretty long test. Okay. When I got to the test, I was a good student and I had studied hard and all that, but I was still kind of nervous because I wanted to do well, you know, just normal. When I got there, I did my preview, I did my calculation, and then I started here because they're all multiple choice, and I did everything I taught you. Except, here's what happened. I covered up the choices for number 1. I kind of recognized it. It was like one of those challenging ones. No. 2. No. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No answers going down. And I finally got to question number 11. And I still had it marked no answers. Skipped the first 10, which looks really bad. When I read the 11th question, the answer popped in my head. I took my hand away. There it was. I think I stroked the paper thinking, finally, I got one. And I actually marked the bubble on my Scantron. Okay, now, when students are taking tests, 2 people could be sitting right next to each other taking the same test, and they have the exact same knowledge of the subject. So they're equal. One could get an A, one could get a C or a B because of how they manage their mind and their emotions during a test. Test taking is very, emotional. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to kind of freeze frame my performance so far through this. I have 2 ways I can look at this. The first one is this. After I've gone through all of this right here, how many questions have I tried to answer? I've tried all of them. Tried 11, right? How many of those are right? 1. Okay, what grade is that? Yeah, that's like a Q. That's like the worst grade ever. And I could stop right there and think, I studied and I thought I studied the right thing, but what's about, and just start falling apart and getting all worried. That's not going to do any good. So I didn't look at it that way. Here's how I looked at it. How many questions have I answered so far? 1. How many are right? 1. Okay, what grade is that? A. Keep going. Plus. Yeah, because I like those pluses, right? So I could sit there and I think, there is no one in this room who's doing better on this test than I am, because how could you do better than perfect? And that sounds so weird because you say, yeah, but how about those? And I had enough experience with this to know, and I went through the entire rest of the test.